Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. But when you start seeing numbers, real numbers, like what's going on in Georgia, suddenly you feel like telling Democrats that are bitching and moaning about what the Harris campaign's doing, hey, calm down. You know what? Victory is in sight in less than 3 weeks. AOC may be more progressive than a lot of people. I also understand that she's one of the most articulate, exciting people in the Democratic field. Listen, Democrats, their approval rating is just absolutely disastrous. They don't need to keep getting people like in retirement, past retirement age, being their voice. They need somebody young like AOC. And again, it's not about ideology. She can carry the message forward for a Democratic Party that really needs to reach out to younger Americans.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about the future leaders of the Democrat Party, according to MSNBC and Joe Scarborough, who is known for making really, really, really bad predictions, right? But he is saying that AOC is the leader that Democrats need going into the future, okay? Which, to me sounds like a very, very, very bad thing for Democrats if Joe Scarborough thinks this is a good idea, considering how this guy is literally wrong about everything.
Rev, nobody ever said that Congress was a meritocracy. I understand that AOC may be more progressive than a lot of people. I also understand that she's one of the most articulate, exciting people in the Democratic field. She goes out with Bernie Sanders, and yeah, she just draws so many people. It's very good, very effective in hearings. Mm-hmm. We've seen a lot of people. Nancy Pelosi was a progressive. When Nancy became leader, she realized she needed to represent the entire caucus. AOC certainly could do that as well. After the election, she was going around talking to people who voted for her and Donald Trump, saying, "I want to understand why did you do that? What don't I understand?" Listen, Democrats, and we're going to talk to Dave Weigel about this in a second, their approval rating is just absolutely disastrous. They don't need to keep getting people like in retirement, past retirement age, being their voice. They need somebody young like AOC. And again, it's not about ideology. She can carry the message forward for a Democratic Party that really needs to reach out to younger Americans.
They need to reach out to younger Americans, and they need to reach out in an authentic way. I think that what makes AOC effective is not only that she's younger, but that she comes off authentic without saying, I'm trying to kick the older crowd aside. Because it was very important. She did that tour with 83-year-old Bernie Sanders, while some of the younger members of Congress saying the old guard needs to retire. She's showing a balance and a maturity as a young person and a message that penetrates.
And by the way, what a great message to have. You've got all these Ivy League boys, that are in the Trump administration that went all the, no offense to Ivy League boys here or anywhere, but all these guys, billionaire Ivy Leaguers, right, attacking her, going, "Oh, she's an elitist." She's like, right. "What do you do?" I was like a bartender or a barista or whatever she was. She's like, "What are you talking about?" Right. I had to work my ass off to like stay one step ahead of creditors and debtors. I know you.
And she talks as one who was
right.
Had to work her way.
Yeah, so as per the usual, the MSDNC panel is completely and totally clueless when it comes to politics, right? The fact that these people are saying that AOC is not an elitist is really mind-blowing, considering how AOC is definitely an elitist, right? She is a part of the quote-unquote elite, the liberal elite. I mean, this is the same woman that went to the Met Gala in a tax-rich dress.
My God, tax the rich. What a model, AOC. Wow, I didn't know you model as well. Damn.
Yeah, this is the same person flying around with Bernie Sanders in $15,000 per hour private jets talking about how they are fighting the oligarchy. But yet AOC is the same individual that told us that climate change is an existential threat, right? And we know how much carbon emissions are put into the atmosphere from running around in private jets, right? That's probably the worst way to travel if you're talking about polluting the planet, right? It's probably the worst way to travel. But again, AOC and Bernie Sanders, this is what they've been doing. Again, despite AOC claiming that climate change is such a huge threat to this country.
But climate change is different because we have an expiration date. And the IPCC report says we've got 12 years to turn it around. 12 years. So my concern is that we are going to be the frog in the pot of boiling water. And we are going to debate and debate and debate and debate and debate. And then when we actually finally pass something, it is a wimpy carbon tax and our kids are doomed.
The threshold now is, we got 12 years to cut emissions in half. And if you want to jump into that debate, great. That's what the debate is. Like, that's the debate. You want to get in the pool, then get in the pool, and we'll have a debate.
Some of us have to actually live the future that you all are setting on fire for us. By 2028, crop yields are already projected to begin to fail, with famine beginning to hit the world's most vulnerable populations. By 2038, current U.S. drought, fire, and extreme heat trends could potentially make whole regions of the United States unlivable if we continue the trends that lobbyists are trying to have us pursue. And we have a tipping point by 2036. We do not have the privilege or the luxury of lobbyist spin. And it is incredibly important that we don't reach net zero or in some imaginary future, but that we actually cut through to carbon emissions reductions here in the United States and globally. I submit back to the chair.
It is going to be a disaster if we don't turn this ship around. And so it's basically like there's scientific consensus that the lives of children are going to be very difficult. And it does lead, I think, young people to have a legitimate question. You know, is it okay to still have children? And I mean, not just financially, because people are graduating with $20,000, $30,000, $100,000 worth of student loan debt, and so they can't even afford to have kids in a house, but also just this basic moral question, like, what do we do? And even if you don't have kids, there are still children here in the world, and we have a moral obligation to them, to leave a better world for them. And this idea that if we just, you know, I've been working on this for X amount of years, it's like not good enough. Like, we need a universal sense of urgency.
Yeah. So I want you guys to understand, right? The people who are supposed to be fighting oligarchy and trying to prevent climate change are the same people running around in expensive private jets and flying first class across the country, right? So again, these are the people that are supposed to be against the rich and they're supposed to be fighting climate change, but yet they're engaging in activities that suggest that that's not what they're doing at all, right? At least their actions do not suggest that they care about these issues as much as they claim. In fact, Bernie Sanders dismissed criticism of him and AOC running around in private jets to campaign when confronted on this issue by Bret Baier on Fox News. Take a look.
Obviously, there is a lot to be passionately against right now, but it has to travel with a clearer picture of what we are for.
Our party is unified in making sure that we stand up and deliver on the promises that we've made to the American people.
We can't just be the party that is against Donald Trump. We have to show people how we are providing an alternative message, especially for our young people that are losing faith.
Well, although he's technically an independent, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders has considerable influence in Democratic Party politics, of course. He and New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have been traveling the country trying to unite a progressive movement that took a major hit, frankly, last November. Senator Sanders joins us live here in studio. Welcome back to Special Report.
Good to be with you.
You wrote after the November 6th election this: it should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party which has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned them. First it was the white working class, now it's Latino and black workers as well. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and they're right. More than
I agree with what that guy said.
That guy said,
go on record.
100 days in, is it the same thing?
Absolutely. Look, you don't make the system more efficient by threatening to lay off 83,000 workers at the Veterans Administration, which will clearly impact the health care that our veterans receive.
All right, last thing. You know, Alyssa Slotkin, senator from Michigan, she said you shouldn't be using oligarch. It's over people's head. You've gotten criticized from other people. Free Beacon says Bernie Sanders spent $221,000 on private jets fighting the Oligarchy tour, paid for by friends of Bernie Sanders. That you've spent millions of dollars in campaign funds on private jet travel over the years. How do you push back on both of those things?
When's the last time you saw Donald Trump during a campaign mode at National Airport?
No, it doesn't. But he's also not fighting the oligarchy.
No. You run a campaign and you do 3 or 4 or 5 rallies in a week. The only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United waiting, 30,000 people are waiting? That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. We've done it in the past. We're going to do it in the future.
And you think that this is hitting a mark? You think it's scratching the itch that voters want to hear from?
I think at a time when the people on top are doing phenomenally well, when seniors, working class people are struggling, people want to hear action to stand up to the people who have the wealth and the power and create an economy that works for all of us, not just the people on top.
Well, Senator Sanders, I appreciate you coming on, talking about the issues, and we'll have you back.
Thank you very much, Brett.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? Old champagne socialist Bernie Sanders basically admitted out loud that, hey, rules for thee, not for me, okay? I believe that running around campaigning, not legislating, not doing their actual job. Their job is to legislate, not to campaign. We're not even in campaign season, okay? We are in legislating season, okay? And instead of doing their jobs, they're running around in private jets to campaign against the so-called oligarchy, right? This is what they're doing. And Bernie says, no, I don't have time to wait in line like everybody else, like all the normal people, okay? All the people who aren't millionaire socialists like Bernie and AOC. Nah, I don't have time to do that, right? I have to take this private jet, right? And he's not going to apologize because President Trump runs around a private jet too. Except, again, as Brett Baird mentioned, President Trump is not fighting the oligarchy. He's also not the one out here telling people that they must change their lives because of climate change, right? That they should try to reduce their personal carbon footprint, okay? This is what Democrats are advocating for. This is what people like Bernie Sanders and AOC are advocating for, but yet it seems as if those rules don't apply to them, okay? They feel as if their movement and whatever they want to do or whatever they feel the need to do is more important than their stated beliefs, right? Their stated values. Again, it's funny how that works. Bernie Sanders is able to justify flying around in a private jet to, quote unquote, fight the oligarchy. But yet when other people do it, oh, well, they're destroying the planet, right? They need to reduce their personal carbon footprint, right? Again, it's just funny how that works. These socialists are the biggest hypocrites in the world, okay? They love being rich. They love polluting the planet, right? They love it. They love taking these $15,000 per flight private jets. They love it. They love first class. They love the luxuries of the people that they claim that they hate the most, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, their whole careers are them making money off of trying to fight the people that they really want to be, right? That they're trying to be. That's essentially what these people are about. And the hypocrisy is never ending with these people. It's just never ending. That's the crazy part. At some point, they're going to realize that, maybe, just maybe, we should actually live our values, right? The things that we claim we believe, we should actually live up to these things. That, you know, hey, if we're going to tell other people not to pollute the planet and that climate change is an existential threat, then we should be taking private jets, right? Our oligarchy tour is not that important, okay? Especially considering how this is not campaign season, okay? This is legislating season, not campaign season. That our tour is not that important that I need to be running around in private jets. But again, for them, their cause is more important than quote unquote saving the planet. Nobody else's cause is more important than that, right? But theirs is. But nobody else's is. Nobody else gets the benefit of the doubt and say, maybe, just maybe, they're flying around in a private jet because they feel like wherever they're going is important enough where they have to get there efficiently, right? A private jet is necessary. That only applies to AOC and Bernie Sanders, the campaign socialists, right? It doesn't apply to anybody else. Again, it's amazing how that works. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.